Let me try. The words cut through the chaos like a blade through silk, and every head in the training yard snaps toward the source. Alpha Varrock Bloods now doesn't turn immediately. He's too focused on the creature in front of him, 7 feet of coiled muscle and white fur matted with blood, gold eyes blazing with feral terror and rage. The rogue alpha cub they captured at dawn is magnificent and deadly, a ticking bomb of claws and fangs that's already sent 2 of his best warriors to the pack healer. Stand back. Beta Reese roars at someone behind Varrock, his voice cracking with genuine fear. Its eyes are blood red. It'll tear your throat out before you take 3 steps. Varrock finally glances over his shoulder, ready to bark an order at whichever foolish pack member has a death wish. He freezes. The girl stepping forward isn't pack. She's barely anything at all, a slip of a thing in clothes 3 sizes too large, dark hair tangled and wild, cheekbones sharp from hunger. He's seen her before, haunting the edges of his territory like a ghost. The homeless girl who sleeps in the abandoned ranger station when the weather turns brutal. The one his border patrol reports, but never drives away because she never crosses the boundary markers. She's crossing them now. Get back, Varrock commands, his alpha voice rolling through the yard like thunder. That thing will kill you in seconds. She doesn't stop. Doesn't even flinch. Her bare feet, gods, she's not even wearing shoes, leave small prints in the frost-covered ground as she walks past him, past Reese's outstretched arm, past the reinforced silver bars of the training pen. Are you insane? Reese hisses. It just broke a beta's arm. The girl's eyes never leave the cub. Up close, Varrock can see she's younger than he thought, maybe 20, maybe less. But her eyes are old, ancient with a pain he recognizes. The pain of something that's survived when it shouldn't have. Something that's been abandoned by the world and learned to live in the cracks. The cub snarls, a sound that vibrates in Varrock's chest cavity. It lunges at the bars, and the entire pen shudders. Silver burns against its fur where it makes contact, but it doesn't care. It's too far gone, too wild with fear and fury. Last warning, Varrock growls, moving to grab her arm. I won't watch you die for nothing. She turns then, and her eyes meet his. They're gray, storm-cloud gray, and utterly fearless. You won't have to watch, she says quietly. Because I'm not going to die. Before he can respond, she slips past his reach, impossibly fast for a human, and presses her palms against the silver bars. The metal sears her skin. He can smell it, the scent of burning flesh, but she doesn't pull away. The cub is right there, inches from her face, teeth bared, breath hot and rank. Varrock moves to drag her back, but something stops him. Maybe it's the way she's looking at the creature, not with fear, but with recognition. Maybe it's the tremor in her voice when she whispers, barely audible even to his alpha hearing. Abandoned. The single word hangs in the frozen air. The cub's snarl dies in its throat. Its burning gold eyes flicker, the bloodlust fading like smoke. And then, slowly, impossibly, the massive creature lowers itself to the ground. Its enormous head dips, pressing against the bars where her burned hands rest, and it releases a sound Varrock has never heard from any wolf, rogue, or pack. A whimper. Soft. Broken. The sound of something found. The training yard goes completely silent. No one breathes. No one moves. Varrock stares at the scene before him, his alpha instincts screaming contradictions. Threat. Asset. Danger. Salvation. The cub, the same cub that nearly killed 3 of his wolves, is submitting. Not to force. Not to dominance. But to a starving homeless girl who just whispered one word. What? Reese breathes beside him. What did she just do? Varrock doesn't answer. He can't. Because he's too busy watching the girl sink to her knees, her hands still on the bars despite the burns, tears streaming down her hollow cheeks as she presses her forehead against the cub's massive skull. I know, she whispers. I know what it feels like. The cub's breathing slows. Steadies. It closes its eyes, and for the first time since they dragged it into his territory, the creature looks peaceful. Varek should be focused on the strategic implications. This changes everything about the rogue pack situation, about the territorial disputes, about the upcoming negotiations. But all he can think about is the way the girl's shoulders shake with silent sobs, the way she looks more broken than the beast she just tamed, the way something in his chest cracks open at the sight of her. "Who are you?" The question comes out rougher than he intends. She looks up at him through the bars and the cub's white fur, and her gray eyes are hollow with exhaustion and resignation. "Nobody," she says. "I'm nobody, Alpha." Wrong. Something primal inside him snarls. Mine. Varek Bloods now has ruled his pack for 7 years. He's faced down rival alphas, rogue factions, and death itself without flinching. He's never wanted anything he couldn't take, never needed anything he couldn't dominate. But as he watches this broken, nameless girl gentle the most dangerous creature he's ever captured with nothing but a single word and her own shattered heart, Varek realizes with cold certainty that everything is about to change. "You're coming with me," he says, his voice leaving no room for argument. Her eyes widen. "What?" "That cub responds to you. I need you." He steps closer to the bars, his presence filling the space between them. "And something tells me you need somewhere warm to sleep tonight. Don't you?" She stares at him for a long moment, and he can see the calculation behind her exhaustion. She's weighing her options, measuring his threat level, deciding if this is better or worse than freezing to death in an abandoned ranger station. Finally, she nods. "Once. Barely. Good." Varek turns to his beta. "Reese, get the healer for her hands. Then prepare the eastern cabin." She stays there. "Alpha, you can't possibly," Reese starts. "Are you questioning me?" Varek's voice drops to a lethal quiet. Reese's jaw snaps shut. He bows his head. "No, Alpha." Varek looks back at the girl, his girl now, whether she knows it or not. She's still kneeling by the cub, whispering words he can't hear, and the creature is watching her with something that looks dangerously close to devotion. He knows that feeling. He can feel it taking root in his own chest. "What's your name?" he asks. She hesitates, like she's forgotten she has one. Like it's been so long since anyone cared enough to ask. "Iris," she finally whispers. "Iris Ashwood." "Iris." He tests the name, and it feels right in his mouth. "Welcome to Bloods Now Pack territory." She doesn't look like she believes him. Doesn't look like she believes in anything anymore. But she will, Varek promises himself. He'll make her believe. He'll make her see that she's not nobody. That she's not abandoned. Not anymore. Thank you for sticking around with me, my wonderful story family. If you're already hooked in for today's story and ready to enjoy it, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as interesting as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now let us begin. Chapter 1. Varek's den sits at the heart of his territory, a sprawling structure of dark wood and stone that feels more like a fortress than a home. Iris stumbles through the massive double doors, acutely aware of the alpha's hand wrapped around her upper arm, not cruel, but firm enough that she knows running isn't an option. Not that she has anywhere to run to. The healer bandaged her burned palms in the training yard, working in tight-lipped silence while the entire pack watched. Iris felt their stares like physical weight. Suspicion. Confusion. Hostility. She's used to being invisible, a ghost on the edges of society. Being seen like this, by an entire pack of supernatural predators, makes her skin crawl. Varek releases her once there inside his private study, a room lined with maps and books that smell of leather and pine. He moves to pour something amber into 2 glasses, and Iris stays frozen by the door, tracking his every movement like the cub tracked hers. "Sit," he says without looking at her. She doesn't move. "I'd rather stand." His eyes flash gold when he turns, a warning that his wolf is close to the surface. That wasn't a request. Iris's jaw tightens, but she lowers herself into the chair across from his desk. Her legs are shaking anyway. She hasn't eaten in 2 days, and whatever adrenaline carried her through the training yard is gone now, leaving her hollow and cold. Varek slides one of the glasses toward her. Drink. You look half dead. I'm fine. The lie tastes bitter. You're malnourished, exhausted, and you just burned both hands calming a creature that's killed grown men. He leans against the desk, arms crossed over his broad chest. Stop lying to me, Iris Ashwood. The way he says her name, like he's already memorized it, claimed it, sends a shiver down her spine. She takes the glass with bandaged hands and sips. It's whiskey, smooth and burning, and it settles warm in her empty stomach. How did you do it? Varek asks, his silver-gold eyes locked on her face. That cub has been feral since we captured it. My best trainers couldn't get within 10 feet without losing blood. But you whispered one word and it submitted like a house pet. Iris stares into her glass. I recognized what it was feeling. Abandoned. The word sounds different in his deep voice. Why that word? Because that's what it is. What it felt. She meets his gaze, defiant despite her exhaustion. You captured it, caged it, surrounded it with enemies. It's terrified and alone and doesn't understand why. That kind of fear makes anything dangerous. Varek studies her for a long moment, and she has the unsettling feeling he's seeing straight through her skin to every scar beneath. You weren't talking about the cub, he says quietly. Were you? Her throat closes. She sets down the glass before her shaking hands betray her further. Why am I here, Alpha? If you're going to throw me back to the streets, just do it. I'm tired of waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm not throwing you anywhere. He moves closer, and Iris forces herself not to flinch. He crouches in front of her chair, bringing those intense eyes level with hers. That cub is valuable. It's the key to negotiating with the rogue pack that's been raiding my borders. But it's useless to me wild. I need it calm, controlled. And apparently, you're the only one who can do that. Understanding crashes over her. You want me to tame it? I want you to stay, Varek corrects. Here. In my territory. You'll work with the cub, gentle it, train it to trust us. In exchange, you get food, shelter, protection. A bed that isn't frozen ground. It sounds too good to be true. It sounds like every trap she's ever avoided. For how long? Her voice cracks. Until the cub doesn't need me anymore? Until you've made your negotiations and I'm disposable again. Something flickers across his face, anger, maybe, or something that looks dangerously like hurt. You think I'm using you. Everyone uses everyone, Alpha. That's how the world works. Not in my pack. He stands abruptly, towering over her. You want honesty? Fine. Yes, I need your skill with that cub. But I also watched you kneel in front of a beast that could have torn you apart, and you didn't hesitate. You saw its pain before its teeth. That kind of courage is rare. That kind of sight is he stops, jaw tight. You're not disposable, Iris. She wants to believe him. Gods, she wants to believe him so badly it physically hurts. What if I say no? She whispers. Varek's expression softens almost imperceptibly. Then I'll have someone escort you back to the border with supplies for the winter. But you'll be walking away from the first real chance you've had in years. We both know it. He's right. She hates that he's right. Iris looks at her bandaged hands, at the bloodstains on her too large coat, at the dirt under her fingernails from sleeping in abandoned buildings. Then she looks at Alpha Varek Bloods now, powerful, dangerous, and offering her something she stopped dreaming about years ago. A place to stay. A purpose. Maybe even, eventually, a home. Okay, she breathes. I'll do it. His smile is small but genuine, and it transforms his harsh features into something almost beautiful. Welcome to the pack, Tamer. Chapter 2. The eastern cabin is small but sturdy, tucked into a grove of pine trees with a view of the cub's reinforced enclosure. Varek leaves her at the door with a promise that someone will bring food and supplies within the hour. Iris watches him disappear into the trees, then steps inside to a space that's more than she's had in 3 years. A real bed with actual blankets. A fireplace already crackling with warmth. A bathroom with running water. She stands in the center of the single room and feels tears burn behind her eyes. She won't cry. She's forgotten how. The knock comes 20 minutes later, sharp, impatient. Iris opens the door to find a woman who looks like she was carved from ice and fury. Tall, blonde, devastatingly beautiful in the way that makes Iris acutely aware of her own unwashed hair and borrowed clothes. The woman's eyes are pale blue and utterly cold. "So you're the stray the Alpha dragged home." Her voice drips with disdain. "I'm Seraphina Whitelaw, Luna aspirant of this pack." Iris recognizes a threat when she sees one. "I'm Iris. The Alpha asked me to. I know what he asked you to do." Seraphina steps inside uninvited, circling Iris like a predator evaluating prey. "Work with the cub." How convenient that a homeless human shows up and suddenly becomes indispensable to our Alpha. "I didn't ask to be here." "No, you just manipulated your way in with your pathetic vulnerability act." Seraphina's smile is razor-sharp. "Let me make something very clear, human. Varek needs a strong Luna. Someone of pure bloodline who understands pack politics and can stand beside him as an equal. Not some starving orphan who got lucky with a parlor trick." The words hit exactly where they're meant to, finding every insecurity Iris has spent years trying to bury. But she's survived worse than mean girls with supernatural powers. "Good thing I'm not trying to be Luna, then," Iris says quietly. "I'm just here to help with the cub." Seraphina leans in close enough that Iris can see the gold flecks in her eyes. "The moment you're no longer useful, you'll be gone. And if you try to sink your claws into what's mine, I'll make sure you leave this territory in pieces. Do we understand each other?" "Perfectly." Seraphina's smile widens, satisfied. She drops a bag of clothes and supplies on the floor with deliberate carelessness and leaves without another word. Iris locks the door and slides down against it, her whole body trembling. "Welcome to the pack," she thinks bitterly. She waits until her hands stop shaking, then forces herself to eat the food that was left, to shower, to put on clothes that actually fit. The simple act of being clean feels foreign, almost uncomfortable. When dawn breaks pale and cold through the cabin windows, Iris walks to the cub's enclosure. The creature is awake, pacing the perimeter of its cage with restless energy. Up close in daylight, it's even more magnificent, pure white fur with silver undertones, gold eyes that track her approach with wary intelligence. It's barely more than a juvenile, maybe a year old, but already massive. Still growing into paws too big for its body. "Hey," Iris says softly, settling onto the frozen ground outside the bars. "Remember me?" The cub stops pacing. Its ears swivel toward her voice. "I know this place is scary. I know you don't understand why you're here or what they want from you." She pulls her knees to her chest, mindful of her bandaged hands. "I don't really understand why I'm here either. But maybe we can figure it out together." The cub approaches slowly, each step deliberate. When it reaches the bars, it lowers itself to the ground, mirroring her position. They sit there in silence, two abandoned things finding comfort in shared loneliness. "They took you from your pack, didn't they?" Iris whispers. "From your family. You were too young and they just took you." The cub makes a low sound in its throat, not quite a whimper, not quite a growl. Something in between. Iris understands. She's always understood the language of loss. "My parents left me at a church when I was 6, she continues, the words spilling out like a confession. "Just dropped me off and never came back. I used to think maybe they'd made a mistake. That they'd realize and come find me. But they never did. Nobody ever did." The cub presses closer to the bars, and Iris reaches through with her bandaged hand. It allows her touch, leaning into her palm with a desperate kind of trust that breaks something in her chest. "We're the same, you and me," she breathes. "Unwanted. Unclaimed. Just trying to survive in a world that never asked if we wanted to be here." The sun rises higher, painting the snow gold. Iris stays with the cub, talking about nothing and everything, feeling the creature's pain like it's her own. Maybe it is her own. Maybe that's why she can reach it when no one else can, because she doesn't see a beast or a weapon or a political tool. She sees herself. Hours pass. The cub eventually curls up and sleeps, its massive head resting near the bars where Iris sits. She watches its breathing slow, steady, peaceful. Iris. She turns to find Varek standing at the tree line, watching her with an expression she can't read. How long have you been there? Long enough. He approaches slowly, studying the sleeping cub. It hasn't rested since we brought it in. My wolves were starting to worry it would die from exhaustion. It just needed to feel safe. Iris stands, brushing snow from her jeans. To know someone understood. Varek's eyes meet hers, and something passes between them, recognition, maybe. Understanding. Come, he says quietly. You need to eat. The cub will be here when you return. As they walk back toward the main grounds, Iris can feel eyes watching from windows and shadows. The pack, measuring her, judging her, waiting for her to fail. Seraphina's threat echoes in her mind. The moment you're no longer useful, you'll be gone. Iris looks back at the cub's enclosure one more time. At the creature that submitted to her with a single word. At the only being in this entire territory that doesn't look at her like she's less than nothing. Maybe she won't be useful forever. Maybe this is all temporary, just another stop before the streets reclaim her. But for now, she has a purpose. A warm bed. And a beast that understands her better than any human ever has. For now, that's enough. Chapter 3. 3 days into her new role, Varek summons Iris to study after her morning session with the cub. She finds him surrounded by maps and reports, his jaw tight with tension that radiates through the room like static electricity. Close the door, he says without looking up. Iris obeys, suddenly aware of how small the space feels with just the two of them. How his presence seems to fill every corner, pressing against her awareness. The cub is settling, she offers, lingering by the door. It ate this morning. That's progress. Good. Varek finally looks at her, and the exhaustion in his eyes catches her off guard. He looks like he hasn't slept in days. I need you to understand what you're helping me with. Come here. She crosses to his desk, where a detailed map of the territory sprawls across the dark wood. Red markers indicate the border, and several areas are circled in black. The rogue pack, Fenrir's blood, they call themselves. Varek's finger traces the northern boundary. They've been raiding our borders for 6 months. Stealing supplies, attacking patrols, testing our defenses. 3 of my wolves are dead because of them. Iris studies the map, the military precision of the marked locations. And the cub is the rogue alpha son. Varek's voice is grim. We captured him during a raid. I'm hoping to use him as leverage for negotiations to end this conflict before more blood is spilled. But only if he's controlled. Calm. Proof that we're not monsters who torture juveniles. The weight of it settles on Iris's shoulders. She's not just taming a beast, she's holding together a fragile piece. Lives depend on her success. Why are they raiding you? She asks. What do they want? Territory. Resources. Power. Varek runs a hand through his dark hair, a gesture of frustration that makes him seem more human than alpha. Their lands are harsh, less game to hunt. They think we have it easy here, that we don't deserve what we've built. But this territory was earned in blood. My father died defending it. I won't let it fall because some desperate pack thinks they're entitled to what's ours. There's steel in his voice, but also something else. Something that sounds like loneliness. Iris finds herself asking, how long have you been alpha? 7 years. Since I was 23. He pours himself whiskey from the decanter on his desk, but doesn't drink it. Everyone thinks leadership is about power. About dominance and strength. They don't see the rest of it. What's the rest of it? Varek finally meets her eyes, and the vulnerability there steals her breath. Every decision is a gamble with lives. Every mistake costs blood. Every moment, someone is watching, waiting for weakness, ready to challenge. I haven't had a full night's sleep since my father's funeral. I can't afford to. Iris understands that kind of constant vigilance. She's lived it on the streets, always watching, always ready, never truly resting. but she never had the weight of an entire pack on her shoulders. That sounds exhausting, she says softly. It is. He drinks the whiskey in one swallow. But it's the price of keeping them safe. All of them. Even the ones who hate me for the choices I have to make. Does Serafina hate you? The question slips out before Iris can stop it. Verek's laugh is bitter. Serafina wants to be Luna. She thinks that means standing beside me, wearing a crown. She doesn't understand that Luna isn't a title, it's a burden shared. It's carrying half the weight when the alpha can't stand alone anymore. His eyes find hers again, intense and searching. You carry weight, Iris. I see it in how you move, how you speak. Like every breath is a decision to keep going. Her throat tightens. The streets teach you that. Keep moving or die. But you stopped moving. He steps closer, and Iris's heart hammers against her ribs. You could have walked away from that cub. From this territory. From me. But you stayed. Why? Because I'm tired, she thinks. Because I'm so tired of being alone. Because someone needed to, she whispers instead. Verek reaches out, and for a moment Iris thinks he might touch her face. Instead, his hand hovers between them, trembling slightly before he drops it. I watched you with the cub yesterday, he says quietly. You sat with it for 6 hours in the freezing cold. You sang to it when it got agitated. You didn't treat it like a tool or a weapon. You treated it like something worth saving. It is worth saving. So are you. The words hang in the air between them, heavy with meaning Iris doesn't know how to carry. She's used to being invisible, disposable, forgotten. Being seen like this, really seen, feels more dangerous than any threat Serafina could make. Verek. I know. He steps back, putting distance between them that feels both necessary and devastating. You're here for the cub. That's all this is. I wanted you to know that your work matters. That you matter. Even if no one else in this pack tells you that. Iris nods, not trusting her voice. She should leave. Should put walls back up before this. Whatever this is becomes something she can't control. But instead she asks, when was the last time you slept more than 3 hours? Verek blinks, surprised by the question. I don't remember. Then sit. She gestures to the leather chair by the fireplace. I'll finish going through these reports. You rest. Just for an hour. Iris, you don't have to. I know what exhaustion looks like, Alpha. And you're running on empty. An hour won't kill you. But this, she points at the dark circles under his eyes, might. For a long moment, he just stares at her. Then, impossibly, he obeys. He sinks into the chair like the fight has drained out of him, and Iris sees what he hides from everyone else. A man carrying the world. Alone. Terrified of dropping it. She pulls a blanket from the couch and drapes it over him without thinking. Verek catches her wrist, gently, carefully, and his thumb brushes over her pulse point. Thank you, he murmurs. Iris nods and retreats to his desk, pretending to study reports while listening to his breathing slow and deepen. Within minutes, he's asleep. And she sits guard over an alpha who trusts her enough to close his eyes. Outside the window, snow begins to fall. Inside this small study, something fragile and new takes root between two people who've forgotten what it means to not be alone. Chapter 4. The border patrol leaves at dawn, and Iris insists on joining despite Verek's initial refusal. She wears borrowed clothes that fit properly now, thick pants, boots, a jacket lined with fur. She looks almost like she belongs, except for the way the other wolves keep their distance, forming a careful circle of exclusion around her. Verek leads them north through dense forest, moving with predatory grace that makes Iris hyper-aware of what he is beneath the careful control. An apex predator. A creature built for violence. They're 2 hours out when Reese raises his fist, signaling everyone to halt. The forest goes silent, no birds, no wind, just the held breath of danger approaching. Rogues, Verek growls, so low only Iris hears it. 3 of them. Stay behind me. She doesn't get the chance. The attack comes from multiple directions at once, wolves bigger than any Iris has seen, their eyes wild with desperation and rage. The pack erupts into chaos, fur and fangs and snarls that rip through the morning air. Iris presses her back against a tree, watching Varric transform. Not physically, he stays human, but something fundamental shifts. The careful alpha who drinks whiskey in his study disappears, replaced by something ancient and merciless. He moves like water and strikes like lightning, taking down a rogue twice his size with brutal efficiency. Blood stains the snow crimson. It's over in minutes. The surviving rogues flee and Varric's pack gives chase. But Varric stays, breathing hard, covered in blood that isn't his. His eyes are pure gold now, his wolf so close to the surface that the air around him vibrates with barely contained power. Iris should be terrified. Every instinct should be screaming at her to run. Instead, she walks toward him. Don't. His voice is guttural, barely human. I'm not safe right now. You wouldn't hurt me. She says it with certainty she doesn't entirely understand. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Iris stops an arm's length away, close enough to feel the heat radiating off him. Because you're still standing here, warning me away. Because even now, with your wolf riding you this hard, you're protecting me from yourself. Varric's hands are shaking. He's fighting for control, and Iris can see the cost of it written across his face. That's what I do. What I have to do. Control. Always control. That's what you think being alpha means? Never letting go? Never being anything but the shield. If I let go, people die. His voice cracks. If I'm not strong enough, fast enough, brutal enough, my pack pays the price. That's the weight, Iris. That's what you saw in my study. I can't afford weakness. I can't afford, he stops, jaw clenched. Can't afford what? She presses gently. This. He gestures between them, the word escaping like a confession. Wanting something for myself. Someone who sees past the alpha to whatever's left underneath. But there's nothing left, Iris. I've given it all to them. The words hit her like a physical blow because she knows them. She's lived them. The belief that survival means erasing yourself piece by piece until nothing remains but function. You're wrong, Iris says quietly. She steps closer, close enough that she has to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. You're just like the cub, Varric. His laugh is hollow. I'm nothing like that creature. You're exactly like it. Caged by duty instead of silver bars. Alone because everyone sees the teeth and claws but not the pain underneath. You told me Luna means carrying half the weight when the alpha can't stand alone anymore. But you've been standing alone for 7 years, haven't you? Refusing to let anyone close enough to help carry it because that would mean admitting you're not invincible. Varric stares at her, and something in his expression cracks. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Her voice strengthens. You think if you show weakness, if you let someone in, the whole thing falls apart. That's not strength, Varric. That's fear. You're afraid that if you stop being the alpha for even a moment, you'll discover there's nothing else left of you. Stop. The word is barely a whisper. No. Iris reaches up, her bandaged hand hovering near his blood-stained cheek. Because I see you. The same way I saw the cub. And you're not empty. You're not just the alpha. You're a man who falls asleep in his study because he works himself to exhaustion protecting people who take it for granted. Who offers sanctuary to homeless girls because under all that power, you understand what it means to be alone. A sound escapes him, something between a growl and a sob. His control is fracturing, and Iris realizes with sudden clarity that she's dismantling 7 years of carefully constructed walls. You don't have to carry it alone, she whispers. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't have to be invincible. You just have to be enough. And you are, Varric. You're enough. He breaks. His forehead drops to hers, and she feels him shaking, this powerful, terrifying alpha coming apart in her hands. His arms come around her, pulling her close, and Iris lets him hold on like she's the only solid thing in his collapsing world. I'm so tired, he breathes against her hair. I know. She wraps her arms around him, this broken man in an alpha skin. I know. They stand there in blood-stained snow while the forest slowly comes back to life around them. Two abandoned things finding refuge in each other. Two people who've spent so long surviving alone that they've forgotten what it means to be held. When Varric finally pulls back, his eyes are clear silver again. Human. Vulnerable. Real. How did you do that? He asks hoarsely. Same way I calmed the cub. Iris manages a small smile. I recognized what you were feeling. Because I feel it too. Every single day. Varric's hand comes up to cup her face, his thumb brushing her cheekbone with devastating gentleness. You're not alone anymore. I won't let you be. Neither are you, she whispers back. Something passes between them, understanding, promise, the beginning of something that terrifies them both. When Reese and the others return, they find their alpha and the human girl standing close enough to share breath, looking at each other like they've discovered something precious and dangerous. Seraphina's eyes narrow from across the clearing, cold calculation replacing her usual disdain. But Iris barely notices. She's too focused on the way Varric's hand finds hers for the walk back, his fingers lacing through hers like he's afraid she'll disappear if he lets go. For the first time in years, Iris doesn't feel like a ghost. She feels real, seen, chosen, and absolutely terrified of what comes next. Chapter 5. Now let's write this chapter following the outline below. The max word count should be 700 words. Write it and maintain the tone of the previous section. Output instruction. Write in free-flowing narrative style with NO section headings. Chapter outline. Chapter 5. A glimmer of hope. Iris is given new clothes and supplies. She visits the human town and struggles with feeling like an outsider, realizing she no longer belongs fully on the streets, but isn't yet of the pack. Varric finds her, and they share a true, non-political moment of connection, implied first kiss/embrace. Varric sends her to town with a leather purse heavy with coins and instructions to buy whatever she needs. Iris stands in the cabin doorway, staring at the money like it might bite her, unsure what to do with this strange new reality where she has resources. Where someone cares if she's warm, fed, clothed. The drive to the human settlement takes 20 minutes in the pack's truck, with a silent wolf named Marcus at the wheel who drops her at the main street with orders to return in 2 hours. Iris steps onto the sidewalk and immediately feels the disconnect. The town is small, quaint, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone. Shop windows display clothing she could actually afford now, cafes pump out the scent of fresh bread and coffee, and people move with the casual confidence of those who've never wondered where their next meal will come from. Iris used to belong here. Not in this specific town, but in the world of humans who live in houses and hold jobs and complain about trivial things. Before her parents left her. Before the streets taught her that survival means being invisible. Now she's caught between worlds, too human for the pack, too changed for this. She buys practical things first. Jeans that fit, thermal shirts, a proper winter coat. The shop girl chatters pleasantly about the weather, and Iris realizes she's forgotten how to make small talk. How to pretend everything is normal when nothing has been normal for years. You're new in town, the girl observes, folding Iris's purchases with practiced efficiency. Just visiting. The lie tastes familiar. Safe. Well, welcome anyway. We don't get many visitors this time of year. The girl's smile is genuine, and it makes Iris's chest ache with something she can't name. This girl has no idea what it's like to sleep in abandoned buildings, to steal food from dumpsters, to be so alone that even your own reflection becomes a stranger. Iris pays and leaves quickly, the bags heavy in her hands. She walks to the park at the edge of town, a small stretch of frozen grass and empty benches that would have been a prime sleeping spot back when she had nowhere else to go. Now it just looks sad. She sits on a bench still damp from melted snow and watches children play in the distance, their laughter carried on cold wind. She doesn't belong here anymore. But she doesn't belong with the pack either. Seraphina made that abundantly clear. The other wolves keep their distance, and even Reese only speaks to her when necessary. She's useful to them, valuable because of what she can do with the cub, but she's not one of them. She's still alone. Just alone in a different way. Thought I might find you here. Iris turns to find Varric approaching, hands in his pockets, looking almost human in jeans and a dark jacket. No alpha authority, no political weight. Just a man taking a walk. How did you know where I was? She asks. I can feel you. He says it simply, like it's the most natural thing in the world. Since the border patrol. Since you, he pauses, sitting beside her. Since you saw me. Really saw me. There's a connection now. Faint, but there. Iris's heart stutters. What kind of connection? The kind that terrifies me, he admits with a half smile. You were supposed to be temporary. A solution to a problem. But you're becoming something else entirely, and I don't know what to do with that. I don't fit here, Varric. The words spill out before she can stop them. I'm not Pac. I'm not even really human anymore, or I don't feel like I am. I'm just stuck. Between worlds. Between lives. Varric is quiet for a long moment, watching the children play. I felt that way once. After my father died and the alpha mantle fell on me. Too young to lead, too powerful to refuse. Not a son anymore, but not fully alpha either. Just existing in the terrible space between. What changed? Time. Acceptance. Realizing that maybe I wasn't meant to fit cleanly into one box. He turns to her, and his silver eyes are impossibly gentle. Maybe you're not supposed to be fully human or fully Pac, Iris. Maybe you're meant to be something new. Something that bridges both worlds. That sounds lonely. It doesn't have to be. His hand finds hers on the bench, fingers intertwining with a tenderness that makes her throat tight. Not if you have someone who understands. Someone who lives in that same in-between space. Iris looks at their joined hands, her small, scarred fingers wrapped in his larger, calloused ones. This is dangerous. Whatever this is between us. Your pack already hates me. If they think I'm trying to. I don't care what they think. The words are fierce, final. For 7 years I've made every decision based on what's best for the pack. What keeps them safe, what makes them strong. But this is mine, Iris. This is the one thing I'm choosing for myself, consequences be damned. Varric. He cups her face with his free hand, thumb brushing her cheekbone like she's something precious. Tell me you feel it too. Tell me I'm not imagining this. Iris should lie. Should protect them both from whatever this is. But she's so tired of surviving alone, of pretending she doesn't need anything, of being invisible. I feel it, she whispers. It scares me. But I feel it. The kiss is inevitable. Gentle at first, a question, a hope, a promise. His lips are warm against hers, and Iris feels something crack open in her chest, something she's kept locked away for so long she'd forgotten it existed. Hope. Connection. Home. Varric pulls her closer, and she goes willingly, her hands fisting in his jacket. The kiss deepens, becomes something desperate and real, and Iris finally understands what it means to be chosen. Not because she's useful. Not because she serves a purpose. But because someone looked at all her broken pieces and decided she was worth keeping anyway. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, Varric rests his forehead against hers. Come back with me, he murmurs. Not as the cub's tamer. Not as a temporary solution. Come back as mine. Iris's eyes burn with tears she refuses to let fall. Your pack will revolt. Let them try. His smile is dangerous, possessive, and entirely alpha. You calmed the most dangerous creature I've ever seen with one word. You think I'm afraid of pack politics? Despite everything, Iris laughs. It's a broken, fragile sound, but it's real. You're insane. Probably. He kisses her forehead, gentle and reverent. But I'm yours. If you'll have me. Iris thinks about the streets, the cold, the years of being unwanted. She thinks about Seraphina's threats and the pack's hostility and all the very rational reasons this is a terrible idea. Then she thinks about Varric falling asleep in his study, trusting her to keep watch. About the cub pressing its massive head into her palm. About being seen, truly seen, for the first time in her life. Okay, she breathes. Okay, I'm yours too. They sit there on the frozen bench, holding each other while the world moves around them, two broken things choosing each other despite all the reasons they shouldn't. And for the first time since her parents abandoned her at that church, Iris Ashwood allows herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she's finally found her way home. Chapter 6. The pack meeting is called for the full moon, and Iris knows before she enters the great hall that something is wrong. The air crackles with tension, and every wolf present turns to stare when she walks in beside Varric. Their eyes aren't just suspicious anymore. They're hostile. Varric's hand finds the small of her back, a gesture of possession and protection that doesn't go unnoticed. Rhys shifts uncomfortably near the front, while Seraphina stands at the center of the gathered wolves, her blonde hair gleaming like a crown in the firelight. Alpha Varric. Seraphina's voice rings clear and cold through the hall. We need to discuss the human. Iris feels every gaze snap to her like physical blows. Varric's hand tightens against her back, but his voice remains level. Her name is Iris. And there's nothing to discuss. Isn't there? Seraphina steps forward, her movements predatory. You've given this street vagrant sanctuary, resources, access to pack lands and meetings. And now you parade her at your side like she's something more than a temporary asset. Watch your tone, Seraphina. Varric's alpha command bleeds into his words, making several wolves flinch. But Seraphina doesn't back down. She's been planning this, Iris realizes with cold dread. This is a calculated attack. I speak out of concern for our pack, Alpha, as is my right and duty. Seraphina addresses the gathered wolves now, not just Varric. For weeks, we've watched you grow distracted. Soft. You bring a human, a homeless, powerless human, into our territory. You give her privileges our own pack members haven't earned. You let her whisper to a dangerous rogue cub and call it control. She has done more to secure peace with the rogues than any of you, Varric growls. Has she? Or has she given you an excuse to avoid making the hard decisions? Seraphina's eyes glitter with triumph. The cub should have been executed or returned immediately. Instead, you keep it here, keep her here, because you're lonely, Varric. Because after 7 years of solitude, you finally found something soft and broken that looks at you like you're a savior instead of a weapon. The words hit their mark. Iris feels Varric go rigid beside her, feels the pack's uncertainty ripple through the room like a living thing. You forget yourself, Varric says quietly. Dangerously. Do I? Or am I the only one brave enough to say what everyone is thinking? Seraphina looks around the hall, gathering support. Our alpha is compromised. He's making decisions based on attachment to a human girl instead of what's best for the pack. That's not strength. That's weakness. Several wolves murmur agreement. Not many, but enough. Iris's stomach drops. I challenge your judgment, Alpha Varric. Seraphina's declaration echoes through the hall. Not your position, I know my place. But your decision to keep this human here. To elevate her above her station. To risk pack stability for personal desire. The silence that follows is suffocating. This is pack law, Iris realizes. Seraphina has the right to challenge his judgment, to force him to defend his choices before the pack. And if they side with her, you want to talk about weakness? Varric's voice is ice and razors. He steps forward, leaving Iris behind, and every wolf in the room feels the weight of his alpha power. Let's talk about it. He turns to face the entire pack, and Iris sees the leader she heard about in whispered stories. The alpha who carved this territory from blood and fire. Yes, I brought Iris into our territory. A human. Homeless. Powerless. He spits Seraphina's words back at her. And in one moment, she accomplished what none of you could. She calmed a rogue alpha cub that had injured 3 of our best warriors. She did it without violence, without dominance, without any of the tools you all rely on. She did it with understanding. Verek's gaze sweeps the room. You call that weakness? I call it strength we don't possess. Strength we desperately need if we're going to negotiate with the rogues instead of slaughtering each other until there's nothing left. She's still human, Serafina argues. Still an outsider. Still more valuable to this pack than you are right now. The words crack like a whip. You want to talk about distraction? About making decisions based on personal desire? You've been positioning yourself as Luna aspirant for 3 years, Serafina. Every suggestion you make, every challenge you raise, is calculated to prove your worth as my mate. That's not pack loyalty. That's ambition. Serafina's face flushes with rage and humiliation. How dare you? I dare because I'm alpha. And I will make the decisions I believe are best for this pack, with or without your approval. Verek's voice drops to something deadly quiet. Iris stays. Not because I'm lonely. Not because I'm weak. But because she has proven her value, and she will continue to do so. He turns back to Iris, and his expression softens infinitesimally. Then he faces the pack again, and Iris sees him make a choice that will change everything. And she stays because she's mine. The declaration reverberates through the hall. My chosen. Not my pet, not my asset. Mine. Anyone who has a problem with that can challenge me directly. Not my judgment. Me. The temperature in the room plummets. A direct challenge means a fight to the death or submission. Verek has just turned this from a political debate into a line in the sand. No one moves. No one speaks. Serafina's face is white with fury, but she's not stupid enough to challenge an alpha in his prime. After a long, terrible moment, she bows her head. As you say, alpha. But her eyes promise retribution when she looks at Iris. Verek doesn't wait for further dissent. He crosses back to Iris, takes her hand in his, and raises it high enough for everyone to see their joined fingers. This meeting is over. His tone brooks no argument. Anyone who wishes to discuss pack business may see me in my office. Anyone who wishes to discuss Iris can leave my territory. He leads her out of the hall, and Iris feels the weight of dozens of hostile stares following them into the night. When they're finally alone in the corridor, she realizes she's shaking. You shouldn't have done that, she whispers. You just made me a target. Made yourself vulnerable. Verek spins her against the wall, caging her in with his arms. I don't care. The pack will follow or they won't. But I meant what I said in there, Iris. You're mine. And I protect what's mine. His forehead drops to hers. I'm done pretending this is anything other than what it is. I'm done letting them dictate who I can care about. Iris's eyes burn. She was right, though. About you being distracted. About making decisions based on. On what? On wanting something for myself? On choosing someone who sees me as a person instead of just an alpha. Verek's laugh is bitter. Maybe she's right. Maybe I am compromised. But I'd rather be compromised and have you than be strong and alone for another 7 years. Verek. No. He cups her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. You don't get to do this. You don't get to minimize what you are to me because they can't see your worth. You're not a weakness, Iris. You're the first thing that's felt right in years. Iris kisses him because words aren't enough, because he just declared war on his own pack for her, because she's falling for this broken alpha who chooses her despite every rational reason not to. When they break apart, his eyes are molten gold. Come to my chambers tonight, he murmurs against her lips. Stay with me. I'm done hiding what you mean to me. And despite the danger, despite Serafina's calculated rage and the pack's hostility, Iris nods. Because she's done being alone too. Chapter 7. The attack comes 3 nights later, under the cover of a moonless sky. Iris wakes to the sound of howls, not the organized patrol calls she's grown accustomed to, but something wild and furious that makes her blood run cold. She's out of Verek's bed and pulling on clothes before her mind fully catches up. Verek is already at the window, his body tense, eyes blazing gold. Rogues, he growls. A full assault. They're here for the cub. The territory erupts into chaos. Iris follows Varek outside to find wolves everywhere, his pack forming defensive lines while massive rogue wolves pour through breaches in the border. The night air fills with snarls, blood, and the metallic tang of violence. Get to the safe house, Varek commands, already moving toward the battle. Now, Iris. No. The cub. We'll be fine. I need you safe. But Iris is already running toward the enclosure, her heart hammering against her ribs. The cub is the target. If the rogues take it back, all of this, the tentative peace, the negotiations, everything falls apart. And more than that, she can't abandon the creature that trusted her, that chose her. She reaches the enclosure to find it under siege. 3 massive rogues circle the reinforced pen, testing the bars while the cub inside goes berserk with fear and recognition. These are its pack. Its family. And they've come for it. Stop. Iris's voice cuts through the chaos, but the rogues don't even glance at her. She's human. Irrelevant. Prey. One of them shifts, a partial transformation that leaves him standing on 2 legs, his face still wolf, his voice a guttural approximation of speech. Give us the cub. It doesn't belong to you. He doesn't belong to anyone, Iris says, moving between the rogue and the enclosure. He's not property. The rogue's laugh is cruel. Move, human. Or die. He lunges, and Iris knows she can't fight him. Can't even slow him down. But she doesn't move. She plants her feet and meets his eyes and refuses to abandon the cub the same way everyone abandoned her. The rogue's claws are inches from her throat when Varek crashes into him from the side, a blur of lethal grace and fury. They go down in a tangle of teeth and violence, and Iris stumbles back, her heart in her throat. The fight is brutal. Varek is powerful, but he's facing 3 rogues at once while trying to protect both Iris and the cub. She watches him take down one, then another, but the third, the largest, with scars covering his massive frame, catches Varek across the ribs with claws that tear through flesh like paper. Varek goes down hard, blood staining the snow black in the darkness. No! Iris's scream is raw, primal. She runs to him, but the rogue alpha, because that's what he is, she can see it in his bearing, blocks her path. Varek bloods now. The rogue alpha's voice is like gravel. You took my son. Caged him. Tortured him. We didn't. Varek coughs blood, struggling to rise. We were going to negotiate. With my child as hostage? No negotiation. No mercy. The rogue alpha raises his clawed hand for a killing blow. Iris doesn't think. She throws herself forward, covering Varek's body with her own. Wait. The rogue alpha pauses, more from surprise than anything else. Foolish human. Move or die with him. Your son isn't tortured, Iris says desperately, her words tumbling over each other. He's cared for. Federal safe. I've been with him every day. I've seen him heal. Lies. No. Iris looks at the enclosure, where the cub watches with those golden eyes. And she makes a choice that could get her killed. Let me show you. She stands, movements slow and deliberate, and walks to the enclosure. Behind her, she feels the rogue alpha's attention like a blade against her spine. Feels Varek trying to rise, to stop her, to protect her even now. But this is her moment. Her purpose. The reason she survived all those years alone, so she could be here, now, bridging the gap between 2 packs on the edge of destroying each other. Hey, baby, she whispers to the cub, her hands reaching through the bars. I need your help. Can you trust me? One more time. The cub whines, torn between the scent of its father and its bond with Iris. She can see the conflict in its eyes, the desperate desire to run to the rogues warring with the safety it's found with her. I know you want to go home, Iris continues softly. I know you miss them. But right now, I need you to show them you're okay. That we didn't hurt you. Can you do that for me? The cub moves to the gate, and Iris's hands shake as she works the lock. This is insane. This could end with everyone dead. But it's the only way. The gate swings open. The cub could run. could bolt to its father and the rogues and escape this place forever. Instead, it steps out slowly and moves to Iris's side. It presses its massive body against her legs, and when she sinks her fingers into its fur, it leans into her touch. The rogue alpha stares, his expression unreadable. He was scared, Iris says quietly. Alone. Abandoned in a place he didn't understand. But he wasn't tortured. He was given space to heal. To remember he's more than just fear and violence. She looks at the rogue alpha directly. Just like you're more than just rage and desperation. You know nothing about us. I know you're raiding because your lands can't sustain your pack. I know you're attacking because you feel like you have no choice. I know you love your son enough to risk everything to get him back. Iris's voice strengthens. But this doesn't have to end in blood. Varek was trying to negotiate, to find a solution that didn't require more death. The rogue alpha's eyes flick to Varek, who's managed to prop himself against a tree, one hand pressed to his bleeding ribs. He caged my son. To protect him during negotiations. To keep him safe from both sides while we figured out peace. Iris knows she's gambling everything on this moment. Your son is strong. Fierce. Beautiful. He'll be an alpha someday, just like you. But not if he dies tonight in a battle that doesn't need to happen. The cub whines and moves toward its father. The rogue alpha's expression cracks, just for a moment, and Iris sees the same pain she recognizes in herself. In Varek. In the cub. The pain of loving something and not knowing how to protect it. What do you propose? The rogue alpha asks finally. Varek forces himself upright, blood still seeping through his fingers. Territory sharing. Hunting rights in the eastern woods. Winter rations from our stores. Peace between our packs. His voice is strained but steady. Your son returns with you unharmed. In exchange, we establish borders and treaties that benefit both packs. And if I refuse? Then we all die tonight, Varek says bluntly. Your wolves, my wolves, and two alphas who were too proud to find another way. That what you want for your son? To watch his father die for territory that could have been shared. The rogue alpha looks at his son, at Iris standing between two packs like a bridge made of pure stubborn hope, at Varek bleeding but unbowed. Finally, he shifts fully back to human form, a man weathered by hard living, with his son's golden eyes. You have 1 week to draft terms, he says. My son stays with me. The human comes to my territory as envoy to finalize negotiations. She seems to be the only one both packs trust. Iris's eyes widen, but she nods. I'll come. The rogue alpha gestures, and his remaining wolves withdraw. He kneels before the cub, and the reunion is heartbreaking in its tenderness. Then he looks at Iris. You have courage, human. Foolish courage, but courage nonetheless. Then they're gone, melting into the forest with the cub between them. Iris collapses to her knees as the adrenaline drains away. Varek is there immediately, pulling her against him despite his injuries. That was the most reckless, idiotic, brave thing I've ever seen, he rasps against her hair. Around them, the pack emerges from the shadows. They saw everything. Saw Iris risk her life. Saw her negotiate peace where teeth and claws failed. Saw the cub, their greatest leverage, choose her over freedom. Reese steps forward, and for a long moment, he just looks at Iris. Then he drops to one knee. Luna, he says simply. One by one, the other wolves follow. Even Seraphina, her face tight with barely contained fury, bends her knee. Iris stares at the pack kneeling before her, and she finally understands. She isn't just Varek's choice anymore. She's theirs. Chapter 8. Varek's chambers are quiet after the chaos of the battle, the firelight casting warm shadows across walls that have witnessed 7 years of solitary leadership. Iris helps him onto the bed while the pack healer finishes bandaging his ribs, her hands gentle despite their trembling. You should rest, the healer says, gathering her supplies. She glances at Iris with something that might be respect. Both of you. It's been a long night. When they're alone, Iris sits on the edge of the bed, suddenly exhausted down to her bones. The adrenaline has finally worn off, leaving behind the stark reality of what almost happened. Varek could have died. The pack could have been destroyed. And she threw herself into the center of it all with nothing but words and desperate hope. "You're shaking," Varek observes, his voice rough but steady. "I keep seeing it. You on the ground. That rogue alpha about to," her voice cracks. "I thought I was going to watch you die." "Hey." He reaches for her hand, pulling her closer despite the obvious pain the movement causes. "I'm here. We're both here." Iris lets him draw her against his uninjured side, careful not to jar his ribs. She presses her face into his shoulder and breathes him in pine and snow and something uniquely Varek that's become as necessary to her as air. "You knelt in front of the entire pack," she whispers. "After I opened that cage. After I risked everything on a gamble that could have gotten us all killed. You saved us," Varek corrects. "You saw what no one else could, that the rogue alpha wasn't a monster. Just a father trying to protect his son. Just like the cub wasn't a beast. Just a child who needed understanding. Or I got lucky." "No." He tilts her face up, forcing her to meet his eyes. "You saw them, Iris. The same way you saw me on that border patrol. The same way you see everyone, past the armor and violence to the pain underneath. That's not luck. That's a gift most people spend their entire lives trying to learn. And you do it like breathing." Iris's throat tightens. "The pack knelt to me. They should have done it weeks ago." Varek's smile is soft, genuine. "But pack politics move slowly. They needed proof. And you gave it to them in the most spectacular way possible. Serafina looked like she wanted to kill me. Serafina can take it up with me." His expression hardens. "She challenged my judgment, questioned my leadership, and tried to use you as a weapon against me. She's lucky I'm letting her stay in the territory." Iris traces patterns on his chest, careful to avoid his injuries. "What happens now? With the rogues?" "With everything. Now we negotiate. You'll go to their territory as envoy, like the rogue alpha demanded. You'll help us draft terms that both packs can live with. And hopefully, we'll build something better than the constant violence we've been stuck in." Varek catches her hand, stilling her nervous movements. "But that's not what you're really asking, is it?" She meets his gaze, and the vulnerability there mirrors her own. "What am I to you, Varek? Really? The pack called me Luna, but I don't know if that's just politics. Strategy. A title given because I was useful tonight. Iris." He says her name like a prayer. "Look at me." She does, and what she sees in his silver eyes makes her breath catch. "You're not a title," he says quietly. "You're not a strategy or a political move. You're the woman who stepped between me and death without hesitation. Who whispered one word to a beast and showed me that strength isn't always about dominance. Who fell asleep in my study keeping watch because you saw I was drowning and couldn't walk away." His hand comes up to cup her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. "You're the first person in 7 years who looked at me and saw Varek instead of just the alpha. Who made me remember I'm allowed to want something for myself. To need something beyond duty and blood and endless responsibility. Varek, I love you." The words fall between them like a confession. Like a surrender. "I've probably loved you since you knelt in the snow beside a creature everyone else feared and treated it like it deserved gentleness. I tried to fight it. Tried to convince myself it was just attraction or loneliness or tactical advantage. But it's not. It's love. Messy and inconvenient and absolutely terrifying. And I don't want to fight it anymore." Iris feels tears slip down her cheeks. "I'm nobody. A homeless girl who got lucky. I don't have a bloodline or status or anything that makes me worthy of." "Stop." His voice is firm but achingly gentle. "You're Iris Ashwood. The woman who survived years on the streets and kept her compassion intact. Who saw pain in a rogue cub and chose kindness over fear. Who stood before my entire pack tonight and showed them what real courage looks like." He pulls her closer, careful of his injuries. "You're worthy of everything, Iris. And if you'll take this broken alpha who's been alone too long, I want to spend the rest of my life proving that to you. I don't understand what you're asking. Varek shifts, reaching into the nightstand beside the bed. When his hand emerges, it's holding a ring, simple silver band etched with wolves running under a full moon. It's beautiful and ancient and clearly meant something long before this moment. This was my mother's, he says quietly. My father gave it to her when she agreed to be his Luna. His partner. His mate. Not just politically, but in every way that matters. His eyes find hers, vulnerable and honest. I'm asking you to be mine, Iris. Truly mine. Not temporarily. Not until you're no longer useful. Forever. Iris stares at the ring, at Varek's scarred hands holding it like an offering. You want to mate bond with me? A human. I want to mate bond with you. My Luna. My partner. The woman I love. His voice roughens. I want to wake up beside you for the rest of my life. I want to face pack politics and rogue negotiations and whatever else comes with you at my side. He stops, jaw tight. I want you to choose me. The way I've chosen you. Completely. Irrevocably. The tears come harder now, and Iris doesn't try to stop them. You're sure? Even though I'm human? Even though the pack will. The pack knelt to you tonight. They saw what I saw. And even if they hadn't, even if every single wolf in this territory opposed it, my answer would be the same. He takes her hand, the ring poised at her finger. You're mine, Iris. My choice. My Luna. My home. Say yes. Please. Iris looks at this powerful alpha who's offering her everything she stopped dreaming about years ago. A home. A purpose. A partner who sees her, really sees her, and loves her anyway. She thinks about the streets, the cold, the crushing loneliness. She thinks about the moment she whispered, abandoned, to a terrified cub, and everything changed. She thinks about Varek falling asleep in his study, trusting her to keep watch. About standing between him and death because the thought of losing him was unbearable. She thinks about choosing to survive versus choosing to live. Yes, she whispers. Yes. I'm yours, Varek. Completely. He slides the ring onto her finger, and it fits perfectly. Like it was always meant to be there. Like she was always meant to be here. Then he's kissing her, deep and claiming and full of promise. Iris kisses him back, tasting salt and hope and the beginning of something that terrifies and exhilarates her in equal measure. When they finally break apart, both breathless, Varek pulls her down beside him on the bed. She curls into his uninjured side, her hand with the ring resting over his heart. I love you, she whispers against his chest. I don't know when it happened, but I love you. His arms tighten around her. My Luna. My Iris. Mine. Yours, she agrees. Always. Outside, dawn breaks over Blood's Now territory. Inside these chambers, two people who spent too long alone finally find what they've been searching for. Each other. Home. A love that chose them when they stopped believing they deserved to be chosen. And for the first time in longer than either can remember, they both sleep peacefully. Together. Complete. Chapter 9. The formal Luna ceremony takes place under the full moon, and Iris stands at the edge of the great hall wearing a dress that actually fits, her hair cleaned and braided with silver threads that catch the firelight. The ring on her finger feels both foreign and perfectly right, a constant reminder that she's no longer invisible. The pack fills the space, not with the hostility of weeks ago, but with cautious acceptance. They've watched her negotiate terms with the rogue Alpha, watched her spend hours in the forest establishing hunting boundaries that both packs can respect, watched her prove again and again that the homeless girl they dismissed is stronger than any of them expected. Varek stands at the center of the hall, flanked by Reese and the pack elders. He's dressed in formal Alpha regalia, dark leather and silver that makes him look every inch the leader he is. But when his eyes find Iris across the room, she sees past the ceremony and politics to the man who falls asleep holding her, who whispers her name like a prayer in the darkness, who chose her when she was nothing but a ghost on his borders. Iris Ashwood. Varek's voice carries through the hall, commanding and certain. Step forward. She walks toward him on legs that want to shake but don't. The pack parts for her, and she feels their gazes, some warm, some neutral, a few still cold with resentment. Serafina stands near the back, her face carefully blank, and Iris knows that particular battle isn't over. But it's not tonight's concern. Tonight is about something bigger than pack politics. Varrock takes her hands when she reaches him, and his touch grounds her, steadies her, reminds her that she survived years alone, and she can survive this too. Before this pack, before witnesses and the moon herself, I claim Iris Ashwood as my chosen mate. My Luna. My partner in all things. His thumbs brush over her knuckles, gentle despite the formal words. She has proven her worth not through bloodline or tradition, but through courage, compassion, and strength that defies every expectation. He turns to address the pack directly, and his alpha power fills the space. She saw what we couldn't see. She reached what we couldn't reach. She built bridges where we only knew walls. And she will stand beside me not because I command it, but because she chooses it. Just as I choose her. The pack elder steps forward, an ancient wolf with silver hair and knowing eyes. She places a hand on Iris's head, then Varrock's, murmuring words in a language Iris doesn't understand but feels in her bones. Power thrums through the air, something old and binding that makes the ring on her finger pulse with heat. When the elder steps back, Varrock pulls Iris close and kisses her in front of the entire pack. It's possessive and tender and absolutely claiming, and when they break apart, the wolves howl, a sound that shakes the walls and resonates in Iris's chest. She's Luna now. Officially. Undeniably. Later, when the ceremony gives way to celebration and the pack drinks and laughs with the easy camaraderie she's learning to recognize as family, Iris finds herself on the terrace overlooking the territory. The moon hangs full and bright overhead, painting everything silver. Varrock joins her, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Regretting anything yet? Iris leans back into his warmth, watching the forest she used to hide in stretch dark and familiar before her. I was thinking about the word. What word? Abandoned. She turns in his arms to face him. That's what I whispered to the cub. What made it trust me? Because I understood what it felt like to be left behind, unwanted, invisible. Varrock's expression softens, and he cups her face with both hands. And now? Now I understand the opposite. Iris covers his hands with hers, feeling the ring against her skin. Chosen. Seen. Claimed. Not because I earned it or proved my worth, but because you looked at me, really looked at me, and decided I was worth keeping. You were always worth keeping, Varrock murmurs. I just had to make you believe it. Iris thinks about the girl who slept in abandoned buildings, who stole food to survive, who convinced herself she was nobody because it hurt less than hoping for something more. That girl whispered one word to a beast and changed everything. She's not that girl anymore. She's Luna. Partner to an alpha who loves her. Member of a pack that's learning to accept her. A bridge between two groups that were destroying each other over land and pride. She's no longer invisible. No longer unwanted. No longer alone. Thank you, she whispers against Varrock's lips. For seeing me. Thank you for letting yourself be seen. He kisses her forehead, her cheeks, her mouth. My Luna. My Iris. Mine. Yours, she agrees, the word a promise and a truth. Always yours. Behind them, the pack celebrates. Before them, the territory stretches vast and wild. Above them, the moon witnesses what two abandoned souls built from shared pain and stubborn hope. A home. A love. A belonging that neither thought they deserved, but both chose anyway. And as Varrock leads her back inside to their life together, Iris finally understands what she's been searching for since her parents left her at that church door all those years ago. Not just shelter. Not just survival. But someone who would look at all her broken pieces and whisper back, mine. You're mine. And I'm never letting go.